You know, from the davening, that Sukkos is called Zman Simchasenu. It's a time of our simcha, of our joy. But it's not clear, at least from the wording, what the source of the joy is. The other one, Zman Cherusenu, we know about Yetzias Mitzrayim, we know about the Exodus. Zman Matan Terusenu, we know about the Torah is given, Har Sinai. What's the Zman Simchasenu exactly? So there's a medrash, the Yalkut Shimoni, points out that it says the word Simcha regarding relationship to Sukkos says 3 times. In Parshas, we're going to be laning on Shmini Atzeres, in Parshas Re'eh, it says V'somachta b'chagecha v'yisach sameach. I don't know if you sang it as a song here.
Not yet. It's coming up.
Yeah.
On the hip parade.
Yeah. And in Parshas Emor, which we read, we read the first 2 days. It says V'lekachtem lechem, says b'yom harishon, you should take it the first day. You take the lulav, kapos tamorim, the Peri Eitzoder, Kapos Tamorim, Sazanaf Eitzova, says Arvei Nochal, Usamachtem Lefnei Hashem Lekechem Shivas Yomim. And rejoice for 7 days. So again, it's the 3rd time that rejoicing is mentioned. So the Medrash explains that there are 3 reasons to rejoice. 2 are related to the Chag HaOsef. Fact is that it's the holiday of the ingathering of the fruit. In Eretz Yisrael, it does not rain during the summer. So all that is harvested is dried out in the fields in order that it should be preserved for the winter. So the grains are in, not in silos, which in the building, but actually are outside. And because of the heat, it dries it out. And eventually, it'll be stored. The te'anim, the figs, are also only that they're prepared beforehand, and they sit in the fields. So this kayetz, we call the summer kayetz. That's really the time of the figs. So the peres ha'ilon is the fruits of the tree which are gathered. I mean, some are preserved through. Grapes are preserved through wine. I mean, that's why before they developed the ability to create grape juice through pasteurization, the only way to preserve the grape, which has a very short shelf life, was really through making it wine. And they preserve olives through making it olive oil. All of this was approximately at this time of the year. Everything is gathered in, everything is stored. So there are 2 reasons to rejoice. One is for the grain, which is the basic staple. Without grain, this is your carbohydrates. This is the fruit of the second one is for the fruit. In fact, it's interesting. There's a Tosfos in Brachas on Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph explaining the bracha that we make. Berei nefashos rabos v'chesroinon. Al kol ma shebarasa lahachios b'hem nefesh kol. Hashem made things which are essential for life in general and for humans in particular. So when it comes to humans, it would be bread and water. And there are things that add a sweetness to life. So we say, says, the bracha is Borei nefashos rabos, you created many life forms. V'chesroinon, that which they're utterly lacking, which is essential for their existence. Al kol ma shebarasa lahachios b'hem nefesh kol chai. Besides everything you created, this lahachios is to invigorate, to give a sweetness to life. And he says an example is apples. You can live without apples, but it creates a sweetness in life. Those 2 things, it would seem to be, are the 2 forms of the simcha. now that the season is finished, everything is ready to be stored and consumed. One is the grain, and one is the Peres Elon. That's two. The third, what the rejoicing is, the third is that we went through a Yom Kippur and we were forgiven. And it would seem that there's a relationship between the whole holiday and Yom Kippur. Is when when it refers to Rosh Hashanah, it says, on the seventh day, on the first day of this seventh month, the Chodesh HaShvi Hazeh. When it comes to Yom Kippur, it says Chodesh HaShvi Hazeh, this seventh month. And when it comes to Sukkos, it uses the exact same language. It seems to be that there's a connection. So according to the Medrash, part of the rejoicing is because of Yom Kippur. There's another aspect, another Medrash, that we say throughout this period of time, from Elul until Shmini Atzeres, we say L'Dovad Hashem Ori. L'Dovad Hashem Ori says V'yishi. Hashem is my light and my salvation. And the Medrash says, Ori, this is Rosh Hashanah. And then we have a new light, we have a new insight. It's V'yishi in salvation, the Medrash says, that even though the Satan, the divine, the angelic prosecutor, does not work on Yom Kippur, the Sori Umas Ha'olam, though, the angels represent the various nations, on Yom Kippur come to, every year, they come to challenge the special place that the Jewish people have. And every year we come out victorious. And the Medrash explains that part of the reason of taking the lulav is just like victorious soldiers that come, warriors that come from the field of battle, lift up their armaments, their spears and their swords, in rejoicing. So too, in a sense, that the lulav itself looks like a spear or a sword, and the esrog looks like the round spheres of stone that was used, the enemy used to shoot, to break through the walls, right? This was before cannonballs, but they had catapults. They through the catapults. Yeah. I mean, stones were used effectively. Look at David HaMelech, says David with Goliath. That's right. See? So here you're holding the esrog is like the stones, and this is like and Didon Notzach, we were victorious. So part of the celebration, there's many aspects, but part of the celebration of the lulav and is we were victorious. Perhaps that's what Smachtem L'fnei Hashem Elokechem says. Shivas Yomim, rejoice in front of Hashem for 7 days, which is related to the lulav. Is the same as we say by Yom Kippur. L'fnei Hashem Elokechem Titoru, in front of God you should cleanse yourself. So we rejoice in God's presence. So here we're speaking about just in general the mitzvah of Simcha, and secondly about the lulav. They're both related to Yom Kippur. I'd like to share with you, though, perhaps a third aspect, which relates to the Sukkah itself. No, I'm fine.
A little scotch.
Little scotch.
Want some scotch?
Yeah. It's interesting, the whole notion of Yom Kippur, that we have a special day of atonement. La'alocha, you need to do tshuva. But there are things that tshuva by itself doesn't help. And it's that through Yom Kippur you have the kapora, you have the atonement. It says, together with the tshuva, it says, in aspects of one's life that the tshuva itself would not work. The question is, how does that work? How does Yom Kippur work? Why is that so? The very first Yom Kippur was when we got the Luchas Habris, when we had the tablets. And it's called, the Mishnah in Tainus, in Chavov and Beis, refers to it as Man Matan Torah. I mean, it's given in Luchas, but it was actually all of the Torah is encapsulated in the tablets. And finally, second pair of tablets where the Luchos were given on that day. The Mishnah says, "Lahoy yomim tovim liyisrael." There are no more joyous, good days than Yom Kippur. We look at this as part of Yom Neroyim, the days of awe, because there were no better joyous days than Yom Kippur and Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av, and the Gemara in Tainus and Bava Basra as a whole, Arichos as a whole. Long explanation of the historical events are associated with the 15th of Av. But in reference to Yom Kippur, it says the two luchos were given, and it's a day of slicha v'kapora. The Rashbam in Bava Basra, in Kuf Chav Aleph, says it's referring to the kapora of the Chet HaEgel, that the original kapora that occurred. Like it's really rejoicing. So two things happened that day, that original day. We were forgiven because of the Chet HaEgel, because of the sin of the golden calf, and we received the luchos. And it would seem to be that they're really just two things that merge together. But I believe from the Mishnah itself, I think it sheds light. It says that really they're not two separate things. Actually one is the cause of the other. That Mishnah, the last Mishnah in Tainus, explains the posuk in the end of the third parak in Shir HaShirim. It says Tenu Reno, says B'nai Sion, says B'melech Shlomo, says go look the daughters of Zion and the king look the king Shlomo, which is an allegory really to Hashem, Melech Shalom Shalom, the king is the source of all peace. Ba'Torah Shitra Lo Imoy, of the crown that his mother crowned him, and according to the allegory that Imos, as over here means Umosoi, his nation crowned him. B'yoyim chasunoso b'yom simchas libo, the day of his marriage, the day of the gladness of his heart. When was the marriage of Hashem? When did that occur?
Sinai.
So the Medrash says Sinai. The Mishnah says this is Matan Torah. And Rashi says the Shnei Luchas Habris. And it says the Yom Simchas Liboy. So the Medrash says is referring to the Oil Moed, the Mishkan. But the Mishnah says Binyan Beis Hamikdash Yirbonim Her B'Yomeinu Omen. But the Chas, in a sense, the giving of the Torah was, in a poetic sense, and it was really the wedding between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. We are the Kala, we are the bride. We know at a marriage, every marriage is like Yom Kippur. There's an atonement. Rashi says, in Parshas Vayishlach, explaining the posuk that Esav married the daughter of Yishmael. In one place she's called Bosmas, the other called she's Mochlas. So Rashi says her real name was Bosmas. She's Mochlas because one is forgiven when they get married.
Even Esav.
Right. So a marriage is a time of forgiveness. So we can understand giving the luchos, really, in a sense, was the marriage. Well, the marriage, it's a new beginning. The Kala gets forgiveness. Machlas got forgiveness. So therefore, the Mechila that we have on Yom Kippur is really a product of the chasana, which is meant by the luchas. Every chasana, really, it's a chasana. We have a Shivas Yemei HaMishnah. We have 7 days of rejoicing. In this time of Chazal, they had a base chasanas. They had a special house, room, that the chas and the kala were there the whole time. There's a sugya, there's one chavheim and beis and sukkah. You can use a sukkah to be a beis chasanas. Because the question is that they don't feel that they lack us a sense of privacy. But basically is that it is really there is a beis chasanas. In that sense, we can understand. Says the simcha. We were saying about the simcha of one of the simchas is the Kippur of Yom Kippur. We could say really it's the simcha of our chasana. And if that's the sense, the chuppah is where the chos and the kala come together for those 7 days. You don't leave that. I mean, ideally, you sleep in this if you can. This is everything you do. You learn here.
Everything.
It becomes your home. It says this is the Shivas Yemei HaMishnah. This is the Chas. So in that sense, we can understand that really that the Sukkah is really, in a sense, the celebration is not only the lulav is the thing, or the simcha, but the whole Sukkah is at least one of course, there are many aspects, but one of the major aspects is really, this is the celebration of Yom Kippur, which is really our chasana. I want to wish everybody mazel tov.
We enjoy the Chaim.
Yes, they have anniversary. And yes, Hashem, we should be zoichet to be in the Sukkos or shall be Yossi.
Amen.
Okay, Morty.
ושמחת בחגך